Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Hey you, welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the profound conversation I had with Amy Ledin in our last episode. We're just going to leave profound in because it's not a word I use, but I love it. I think of my husband every time because it's something he uses all the time. If you haven't listened to that interview, feel free to pause this now, go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us. Or be like me, listen to this one, and then now that you know all the good stuff, go back and listen to the other gold that we could not bring into this shorter version. So we have some quick announcements. I've been thinking a little bit about Cambodia lately because, and like in a way that like I'm just like reminiscing, but also sad. It's been over a year since we've been there. If you don't know us very well, we used to go 2-3 times a year.
It has been over a year.
It's over a year.
The last time we were there was March last year.
Yeah, we're flying in on March 14th as like the world was shutting down.
Home.
We're flying home, excuse me.
On March 14th.
Yeah, flying home. And it was so sad because I was like, how long are we saying goodbye to this place? And I did not think it would be a year. I just thought like, it'll be.
No, like, I thought it was going to be a couple months.
Yeah.
And then like, I figured that our trip that we had planned for later that year was going to be fine. And we were going to be able to, you know, sell a retreat and go and hang and see our friends and family there.
Yeah. And I just, so anyways, the announcement here is, we really miss Cambodia. I've been looking at pictures the last 5 years of us going there and looking at all the different retreaters and just, you know, thinking about each person we met, because that shared experience is something that you cannot repeat. Even though we keep going back to Cambodia, we've had several retreaters come back with us multiple times, and it's always a unique experience. And so just so you know, we are going back someday. We are constantly refreshing the website to see if they're letting us back in yet. Yeah. And you will be the first to know when we can go back.
Yeah.
Babe, we have an audience question to respond to.
Do we?
Do we?
We do.
Okay. So I'm going to be honest. I made this question up because you may be wondering, like, I thought you might be wondering while we're doing this debriefs, and this is our first week of the podcast, and so you haven't been able to ask us anything yet. And so this is our little shameless plug to ask us anything you want. Big AMA, as Brad likes to say it.
AMA!
Ask me anything. We can call it AUA.
Ask us anything.
Ask us anything.
Yeah, you could just DM us at the pod and ask.
Yeah, be it pod on Instagram.
Whether that's a question about us or whether that's a question about, you know, I don't know, business, Pilates, work, life, you know, love, friends, dogs. Why
we got 3 dogs and how we feel about that. Brad knows a lot about cactuses at this point. Okay, so I thought you might want to know why we're doing these debriefs. And so I thought I would let Brad talk about it because we are big podcast listeners and we love pods that have these.
Yeah, I mean, we both, it's definitely borderline obsession, the amount of podcasts that I listen to, at least.
Oh yeah. Well, once you taught me about like once I got okay with listening on 1.5, and you don't have to listen to us on 1.5. I'm a fast talker, so
yeah, I listen to things on 2.0, and I blast through these different pods, and I feel like I'm going back to college half the time, and then I'm actually able to get through the news that I want to get through every day. Yeah. Which, you know, before I never had. Who has time to sit down, plot themselves in front of a TV for an hour and listen to one person.
Well,
come on. I can get through that hour program. I can get through 2 of those 1-hour programs while I'm walking the dogs.
Yes.
I mean,
and also the ones we listened to were on TV and then they took the commercials out. So it's like even shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when I'm on my run and I'm listening to my news podcast, I'm like, I just have to remember that when they say tonight, it was last night. I got to keep my dates in line. But anyways.
Yeah, I think the bigger point is that because when we walk, we get the chance to chat each other up on the things that we are learning about and discovering and, whatever. And we thought that there's always like a commentary to the pod or commentary to the news or commentary to the book that we're listening to. And, I was excited about the interviews that you've been doing, and I started talking to you about them, and you were excited and you were telling me about them, and I was like, we should just have another episode where we're kind of talking about what you discovered or what you covered with your guests.
Basically, you are in on the dog walk without the dog walk. So and it's so fun because I love hearing what Brad's takeaway of something that I also experienced, because he sees the world in a much different light than I do. And so if I'm a big ideas, big vision person, and he definitely likes to go, okay, but how do we do that? And he gets really into the nitty gritty. When he said you can ask about cactuses, you can ask him about cactuses. You can ask me and I'll be like, well, this is the ones I like. I like the ones that look like this. I like the one that's like a cigar. I don't even know what they're called. So that's why he's here.
I just thought,
thank you. You can say that one more time. It sounds so pretty. So he's here because A, I love spending time with him. B, I thought it'd be so fun for you to hear us talk about these interviews and what our takeaways are and get 2 different perspectives. And so with that.
Awesome.
Let's get into this interview. But before we do, here's the deal. You may not know what it is that you want to be right now or what you want to do right now or any of the things that make you excited about life. But I promise you that when you prioritize your time for yourself, that things will show up for you, that there's a practice to prioritizing yourself. And I fully believe that my Pilates practice is me showing the universe that I prioritize me and how I feel and connecting my mind and body. And so with that, I want to give you a free class at onlinepilatesclasses.com/beit. So that's onlinepilatesclasses.com/BEIT. Okay. And now,
let's talk about Amy Ledin. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about Amy Ledin.
I know I did this to her
on the pod.
Yeah,
I heard that and laughed,
know.
And then I literally did it.
You just did it, and here's why. This is the thing, yo. I said it would one way. And you're like, no, I think it's another way. This is 2 years ago we met her. And I'm like, no, it's this way. And we had this discussion back and forth. And then I heard her on another podcast and that host must have said it the other way. And then we've convinced ourselves it was one way. And even when I hear her on her podcast, I don't hear her say it the right way. And then I freaking did it to her. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And we just did it again. So you know what? You're never going to forget how to spell it.
Yeah. Well, Amy she's awesome. She is unbelievably inspirational as a human being, as a mom, as a cancer survivor, what an incredible outlook on life when slogging through some really emotionally devastating situations. And she bears her soul on her own podcast. She is the host of F It. And she's an online wellness trainer. She has been an online wellness trainer for more than a decade. She's the most amazing mindset hacks. She loves to share those hacks and the tips and tricks that she has used over the past 7 years as she fought cancer and won.
Yeah.
She just recently got news that she's cancer-free.
Yeah. And
man, it's just jaw-dropping to listen to her.
She's so special to both of us, as a friend. And I remember, last fall when she told me she had cancer again, it it was so hard not to just like cry because on the call with her, because she's just a dear person in my life and I have calls with her every other week. And, but I couldn't do that because I know that she is a mindset queen and she can't have anyone like think anything negative around. It's like a negativity free zone around, oh my God, is she going to die? Like none of those, you can't. So I just had to like, and I think that was really helpful for me. It was like, okay, I got to be strong right now. And we're just going to think positively right now. And it was a good like a lesson for me, even though I wasn't the one actually going through it. And now she is cancer free. And we talk about that in the podcast. So let's talk about something that I loved in the interview. She said that it is so important to find one good thing in the middle of the mud. And I freaking love this, y'all. In my coaching group, for fitness and business instructors, we have a rule. You can have a moment. It's called I Need a Moment in the channel. You can have a moment, but I literally will go back, even when the person I can tell cried right in the post and go, after like all the love and I see you and this is awful, I will literally go, don't forget to post your win. You gotta find something good in the middle of the mud. You gotta find a win in your day because our brain, it really does search out for things we believe to be true. And that's why we have to be very careful because thoughts become facts really quick. The more you think something, the more you believe it to be true. And then just by sheer nature, we want to confirm how true we are. So we seek out the information to prove ourselves correct. And we actually don't see any of the other stuff. And so in the middle of the mud, what is one good thing that's happening? Like when I was homeless and without a car and this, I was like, what's one good thing right now? Well, I don't have to clean the kitchen.
Yeah, I love this, I want to call it an analogy, but now it's an analogy. I love this analogy because, I think we can kind of take it one step further, in the middle of the mud, that your mind will create a stepping stone that you will use while you're going through or going across the mud, right? And that stepping stone is your choice, what kind of stone it's going to be. And it will be negative or positive. It depends on what you dwell on. So even though there's the mud and all the crazy that's happening with life and things are difficult and tragic, that stepping stone you create will be the thing you're dwelling on. So if you're focused only on the negative, that stepping stone, your mind's going to look back and remember, oh, this stepping stone, that's what got me through it.
Yeah.
Right. And if your focus is on how bad and how, life is happening, like everything sucks and it's the worst, or, you can look at this and it's your choice to look at it and go, there was still a silver lining. Mm-hmm. I know that's another one, but, there was a good thing that happened here. And, and your mind will dwell on that instead. And instead, looking back on the path, you can go, wow, look at how crazy that mud was. But that one like lifeline got me through. Yeah,
I agree. And I think I hear a lot of parents who do like 2 roses, 1 thorn or whatever, that kind of a thing. And I think, I hope they go the reverse though. I hope they do a thorn and then 2 roses because that's really good. But here I am telling parents this is how you got to do it. But the truth is our subconscious is really malleable and it needs double the positivity to outweigh the negativity. And I sometimes I have friends who will remind me, they're like, well, Lesley, you were homeless 2 other times before that. And I was like, I was? Because I wasn't focused on what was happening to me that was negative. I was focused on what was happening for me that was positive in those things and how they're helping me get closer to where I'm going. And so sometimes I have to have friends remind me of the crap that I've survived. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm even more awesome. But anyways, the point is, find one good thing in the middle of the mud. That was my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's great.
What did you love that she said?
Well, I found she said something at the very end, which she just kind of threw in there, and she was like, "Well, my inner bitch versus my inner boss," and I was like, "Huh?" I thought that was I thought that was hilarious. First off, and then I thought, man, that's like we all have that angels on your shoulder kind of a thing where like in our minds we have that mental conversation with ourselves. I know you mentioned before talking about negotiating with yourself, your inner bitch versus your inner boss. It's like negative self-talk versus being it, right? Be it, right? And what in her example, she was talking about how she uses her inner bitch is definitely noticing things that she's frustrated with, right? Yeah. And then she again chooses how she's going to view that with the finding that one good thing in the mud. But her inner boss goes, all right, well, if my inner bitch is so frustrated with this, then tomorrow I'm going to make this change so that because it's clearly this is bothering me. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to do this about it. And she's very intentional about it. And then she has a lot of different tips and tools that she talked about with writing things down. And she has her cards and she has all these other, things that she does. And, so she focuses on it. She identifies it with her inner bitch. She focuses on it with her inner boss and then decides what she's going to do about it. And I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I first of all, it's like, that already to me is an action step, and we haven't even gotten to the action steps.
Yeah.
But like we have that self-talk. All of us do. You can call it your inner bitch. You can call it, the devil on your shoulder. You can call it your negative self-talk. But like whatever you're saying to yourself is something that is bothering you about you. And the best way to like squash that isn't to like just like listen to it until it's done. No, it's just going to keep getting louder. It's like, okay, well, what action steps can I take to quell that? Because it's obviously something that's bothering me. That's what she does. It's her boss moment. So freaking love that. I love that it made you go, can't see my head, but he tilted his. I'm like, yeah. All right. So now we want to talk a little bit about the actions items that Amy Ledin said she recommends to being it. So Brad, what was your favorite action item?
Yeah. Remember the be it, what bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted action items can we take away from that combo that you had with her? There was something that I thought was really interesting. She talked about software updates.
Of course you love this.
Yeah. Clearly that's what I gravitate to. Anything tech, right? But I thought that was fascinating what she described. She said, when she has a win, she goes back and takes notes on her win. She writes down what was what the problem was, and then she writes down what the solution was, and not just the solution, but how her life benefited from the solution. Like what changes did she see in her own life when that win happened? And then she puts it on a card and she puts that card in a drawer, and this must be her win drawer or her whatever, her software updates drawer. Because when she is really having a hard day, she goes back to that drawer, pulls out that card, and then reads it. And it's this incredible way to, reset. Yeah. She called it a software update, but, basically remind herself of something that was tangible, that was so positive in her life, so she can, again, dwell on the positive instead of wallow in the negative. And I thought, man, that is just a really incredible, life hack.
Yeah.
A mental life hack.
Yeah. I every time I get to do a call with her, like I get these little tidbits because she just talks about how she does it. She literally does these things and she like lives them so much. She just talks about like everyone does it. Yeah. And she's like, you gotta get yourself, when you do your software update, and I'm like, yeah, when I do those, note to self, like if she can, y'all, if you're like, I don't know how she does it all. She just has a lot of boundaries and she's very intentional, and that's how come she can do it all. That says she can do this with 5 kids. I don't have 5 kids, so I could probably find the time to write my software updates down. And I if you do that, please tag us on the pod on Instagram at @beitpod and let us know. So my biggest takeaway was she was like, go all in on being it, which I forgot about this. So her whole thing was like, if you lose the weight, get rid of the clothes, because otherwise you're subconsciously hanging on to that old self. And she's an online fitness trainer, and she's lost over 100 pounds and kept it off. And like, she shared like how like one of the times she lost weight, she didn't get rid of the clothes. And of course, and she ended up like, that's telling her brain, this isn't real yet. This isn't staying. This isn't going to last. I remember when I left my job in retail, I went to the Lululemon store with money I didn't have to get at least 2 weeks worth of leggings and tank tops and everything, so that I was like, you're a teacher now. And so you have all the, like, this is your work wardrobe now. Because before, my work wardrobe was dresses and jeans and shoes and like all these nice and jewelry. Like I have so much jewelry. I still have it, but like that was my work wardrobe. So I had to go all in and make sure that like, this is it. You have enough clothes to do this job. And so I love that. I think that whatever it is that you're wanting to do, if you're like, I want to go all in on my health and wellness, then go through your cupboards, go through your schedule, like make sure that your wellness is scheduled in, go all in on being it. I love it.
I think that's really interesting. I think there's a couple, that makes me think of I kind of never went all in on working in startup companies. I always kept one foot in the restaurant world still. Like I kept a restaurant job. Even though I had a full-time job during the week, I still would work Friday or Saturday night at a restaurant. I did it for years. I worked in restaurants for 13 years. And probably for 6 of those years, I also had a full-time job because I never truly believed that my full-time job was actually going to stick around and pay the bills. I mean, I was working in a volatile environment, but I never truly committed. In fact, I still have my name tag from working in a restaurant.
And how, like, so let's just talk about how, like, that didn't help you. Like you obviously were probably working a lot, and then, and so you were not sleeping that much, and
you know how good I am at sleeping as it is, but no, certainly not. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, can you tell everyone like why that probably, like, if you look back and you could see, like, is there anything you go, gosh, maybe these things would have gone a different way, or maybe my life would have gone a different way if I had just gone all in?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it comes down to the subconscious decision making factor, right? Like I could always just say, whatever, I just can go back and work in food, right? Or, when you're pushing really hard to make the business work, maybe instead of going that extra mile, you just think like, all right, well, if this doesn't work out, it's okay.
Right.
And that's not good for you.
That doesn't make you go like, that doesn't make you take the big risk or like do the thing or go, like really go big on it, because
I certainly wasn't being bold. You know, I mean, that's for sure. I think I was thinking about this, before. So basically, I think how is this applicable to people in the fitness world? There's always a moment in our, career, our service industry career, where we begin to resent our customer, our client. Probably because they're assholes and they demand so much and they don't appreciate us, and it builds this amazing resentment.
Tell me how you really feel.
I mean, I didn't work as a teacher, but I worked as I had a web development company, and sometimes I was like, these stupid clients need to just like they need to learn how to make a post all by themselves, or they're not appreciating me or whatever it might be. And I decided, like, I heard this guy make this he was speaking to a crowd, and I happened to be there at the event, and he said, you know, when I left this incredibly stressful job that literally landed me in the hospital with an anxiety attack, and then I wasn't even 40 years old. He said, when I got out of that, He said, the first thing I did was I sold my company, and then I made this amazing decision that I was no longer going to work with assholes. Those assholes, whether they were my friends, my business partner, my family, my clients, I wasn't going to take them on. I wasn't going to partner with them, work with them, nothing. He said, I want an asshole-free life because I don't need that shit in myself, in me.
To me, that is so bold and so intrinsic, and like that is being it, because like when you draw a line in the sand and you like burn the boats, like Tony Robbins says.
Burning the boats,
you make different decisions in your business.
Well, it was scary for me because the first thing, like I was sitting there as I had this web dev company thinking, man, I want to fire 5 clients literally right now. And I was like, but I can't. I need the money. Right. And so like it was this fascinating, like, okay, cool. I got to start to shift here. But what, while I didn't just go like scuttle my entire income, what I did do was I decided at the moment, okay, any future client that comes on, I'm going to love them. I don't need a shouting match with a client. I don't need someone who's going to threaten that they're going to sue me. Yeah. Like I had some crazy things happening because I needed the money, and I made the decision at the time. That's not going to happen anymore. Like at this point, I'm going to only work with people who are awesome, and then slowly get rid of those clients as I replace them with new ones.
I love that you share this because I think that is really a great example of what will happen to you if you don't go all in on being it. Because not to judge like how you ran your website business, but had you been really bold from the outset, even though you needed the money, and it said, these are the only clients I will work with. This is how you work with me if you want to work with me. This is how you treat me and how I will treat you. These are the expectations we can have. If you went into it like that, with that bold, this is who I'm going to be in my web development business, you probably wouldn't have had those crazy clients. But when we are half in, or we're a little worried, or we're like not trusting of the outcome, we tend to make excuses for things. We bend our own rules. We say yes to things we probably wouldn't have said yes to.
Well, look, I also, I don't think I knew any better.
Oh, that's also true.
Like when we first start out, we are I think there's a sense of confidence, like the mindset side. Like there's only 2 parts to business. There's how you think and what you do, right? So I thought if I can just get a client, I can slowly leave my job, right? So that's how I thought. So then when I went out to go get a client, I was like, you're going to pay me? Yes, I'll take the gig. Right? Whatever. I was like, I just need that. And then I was like, there's someone else who's going to pay me. Then there's someone else who's going to pay me. Okay, this is great. I mean, I was working way too much for hardly enough money with clients who sucked. And then slowly over time, I began to realize these people actually need me. They can't do this without me. I'm working 2 times as much for the pay that I'm getting, and these people suck. So, I mean, unfortunately for me, that took years.
Yeah. I think the best thing though is that like anyone listening to this who's like, do I have to go through that? You don't. You actually just heard how shitty it went for him. So you can actually learn that. And something that someone told me, they didn't tell me, this is how much I listen to my podcast. They were like in my ear, and I'm like, thank you. Like we were having a conversation, and this host said on their podcast, you can't use the excuse you don't know how to do the thing anymore. Like if this is what you want to do, enter whatever it is you're trying to work on right now, then you need to act as if you are the person, basically be it. And then being that person, what would they do if they don't have answer this question? So if you are going all in on being X, and you're like, but I don't even know how X does it, then you use Google and you find podcasts with people who've done the thing that you want to do. You find interviews with people who've done the thing you want to do, and you actually do the research, because guess what? When you are the boss, when you're truly being it, there are a lot of things I don't know how to do. And I don't go, can't do it. Don't know how. Or I don't go,
we would never move our company forward if we didn't just make things up,
Or like, let me just swim over here in a bunch of mistakes for a while. No. I go all in and I go super bold, and then I ask the internet questions to get the answers that I need to do the executable things to figure out the targeted next steps. And then I filter it through the intrinsic value of why I'm here to do what I do. So that is my tips, our tips on going all in on being it, because it can be really nice to hear. Go all in, be on being it. You do you do you, boo. But like the truth is that I hope what you heard in Brad's example and my example is like actual examples of how to go all in on being it. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for letting us be part of your life. You could be doing a lot of things right now. We're just so grateful to spend part of your time with you. So we are so grateful. Keep coming back. Keep sharing this podcast. Tag us on Instagram, beitpod, with your takeaways. We will reshare those, and we just want to get to know who you are more and how you're using these tips. And then, catch us on the next episode. Thank you so much.
All right. Cheers.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
Kevin and Belle at Disenyo handle all of our audio editing and some social media content.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mondal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Pedroso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.